Welcome back to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast, a window into the soul of the North Fork of Long Island. We'll delve into the pulse of our community, its pressing issues, promising opportunities, and the rich stories that weave our shared history. I'm your host, Christopher Bianchi, and for today, in episode 69, we sit down with Josh Sommer, the co-owner of Aldo's coffee company in Greenport. We'll explore how the opportunity to purchase this beloved business came about and what attracted Josh to the North Fork. We'll discuss the importance of preserving the legacy of Aldo's while also making improvements and growing the business. Josh will give us a behind-the-scenes look at the company's operations, share some exciting new collaborations and products on the horizon, and emphasize the crucial role of engaging with their customer base to ensure they continue to provide an excellent product. So I hope you enjoy episode 69 with Josh Sommer. This episode was recorded June 17th, 2024. Thank you so much for coming on to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast today. I'm looking forward to talking with you today.
Yeah, appreciate you having us and thinking about us. I'm very excited.
Absolutely. So I'd like to just start off, if you could give us a little introduction about yourself and what led to you becoming the new owners of Aldo's Coffee Company.
Sure. So grew up in Long Island, ended up traveling the world, living all over the place, moved back to Long Island because, it's the best place to be. Mm-hmm. And, when I moved back to the States, I was looking for something with my partner, something that had a legacy, essentially, something that people knew about, mm-hmm. and, something that we could help facilitate the next level of growth for it. Mm-hmm. Aldo's was the perfect opportunity. We put our feelers out. We got the phone call. As soon as we heard it was Aldo's, we said, we'll take it. One of our partners in the past lived in Greenport, and obviously we've all heard of it. So It was a pretty easy decision.
When was the first time you had visited Greenport?
So throughout my life, we've been coming out east, mostly on the South Fork. Over the past 6 or 7 years or so, I've been coming more to the North Fork. Mm-hmm. Especially my wife likes wine. Mm-hmm. So, where else do you go? And after you go wine tasting, the best thing to do is end up in Greenport.
Yes. And what attracted you specifically to Aldo's, and what did you hope to preserve from its legacy, while also bringing your own business ideas to it?
So Aldo's, as everybody knows, right, it's a very important part of the community. That is a very big aspect for it. So like I said, I've lived all over the world. I've lived outside of every city because one of my favorite things is community. Mm-hmm. And coffee shops, particular, are something that people go to every single day, become somewhat of a large extended family. So, the fact that it's in Greenport, which is, as far as community comes, it's one of the greatest villages I've ever been a part of. And then fit in Aldo's, and it was just the perfect completion of what we were thinking and where we were going. Mm-hmm. So now we have the opportunity to be in a community that had something that was already amazing and just elevate it to a point where more people can enjoy other things within the walls. And then hopefully throughout the entire country, people know to come to Greenport because there's Aldo's and a lot of community.
Yes. And in terms of the business, when you took it over, what were some of the ideas you were focusing on? And were there any changes or improvements that you have made since taking over?
So one of the things that we did, it's called a smooth transition, meaning that you take over on a Friday and on Saturday it's your register. So there's really no gap in the business. So when you first take over anything like that, the fastest way to learn is by being in it and working in the business. So last summer, you may have seen me sitting behind the register, trying to learn a little bit about the entire business. So the first couple of months until we got out of the summer, it was survival, mm-hmm. right? And more so for me because the business was already thriving. So, that was step one, observing. And as far as changes, the flavors that everybody love and enjoy, we're maintaining those. The first thing I say to any customer who says we've been a long time Aldo's customer, I said, you're our first line of defense, right? if you're drinking something every single day and something tastes off, you're going to find it before I do. So my feelings aren't going to be hurt if you don't like anything. That's why we have that Aldo's guarantee. If you don't like anything, we'll remake it for you. But everything's a learning lesson. So, some of the things that we've added recently, I don't know if you saw, gelato is now something that we serve. Other lemonades, chais, some flavors. But more so for the community, we've added loyalty points. We've extended the hours. Today actually was our first day opening at 7 a.m. On the weekends, we close at 6 p.m. We will be getting our liquor license shortly. But more so, we've added order ahead. So the purpose of that is there's people who work in the town during these busy seasons. And if you've ever been to Aldo's, the line is out the door. And we just don't think it's fair for someone to spend their entire lunch break sitting on a line to get a cup of coffee. So for that reason, we've added this order ahead option so that people can say, hey, listen, I'm going to place my order, grab my coffee, and then actually eat lunch. Because as much as we want everybody to enjoy eating and drinking at Aldo's, we don't serve everything. Yeah, I mean, and then like we've been focusing a little bit on the online business. If you've been to the cafe recently, we've moved some stuff around just to make it a little more lively in there. There's music playing at all times. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems like I saw the website and the logo, and it seems really well put together, and the social media presence as well.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? Like it's a community, right? Whichever way you look at it. So like what we're aiming to do is you go to the website, you feel the community. You go to the Instagram, you feel the community. You'll see in the next couple of weeks or so, we're adding a page just talking about the cafe itself, but how it, ties in with the entire community.
And in terms of specific items, what do you see now? Because has it been almost a year?
August 5th, it'll be 1 year.
Okay. What are some of the most popular items that you see going out or
Sure. Well,
purchased?
number one sale piece every single day is the latte. People are loving the lattes before and today. This weekend, the lemonade was pretty popular, especially because we added our own homemade strawberry syrup to it. So ode to the Strawberry Festival, we had strawberry lemonade, strawberry gelato, and strawberry teas for everybody to enjoy. We've recently added made without gluten biscotti. Again, the idea is that this way, people who in the past couldn't enjoy biscotti now are able to.
Yes.
We've added salads from the lettuce lady out of Shelter Island. We've added these Just Dating cookies. The gentleman's out of the Calverton Business Food Labs. Right, so everything that we're trying to do kind of ties in a bit of community. Right,
Okay.
like we could come in and start bringing stuff from across the country, but that doesn't get what Aldo's is at heart, and it's a community location.
Yes. And can you tell us a little bit about the sourcing process for the coffee beans, and how do you ensure quality and sustainability in your sourcing practices?
Absolutely. So currently we have one bean purveyor. It's Royal Coffee. They're very well known in the industry, especially in the Northeast. And a good example is, so everything that we're ordering is organic and fair trade, and we receive certificates along that. It even tells the farm, a little bit of history of it, and actually points to the lot number. So like it's constantly thing that we're looking at. We now have Tanzania pea berry. If you're not familiar with a pea berry, it's a genetic deformity where inside the cherry, one bean forms instead of two beans. So you get a lot of those rich flavors from two in one bean. But the issue with that is typically they're relatively the same size as any other bean you would see. And the process is very manual where they sift it out and then someone comes and picks on it. So for the longest time, we didn't have that. And that's because we're able to find organic but not fair trade. So that's very important for us. So once we found the fair trade, what we did is we reserved lots so that this way we'll have for the next 6 months or so, and we don't have to worry about needing to source something that's not fair trade.
And you've mentioned some things about community and engagement with customers, but how do you see what role do you see all those playing in the future in the local community, and how do you plan to further engage with customers and residents down the line?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm hoping today it's a meeting place, right, where people come to have meetings. I mean, you see Mayor Kevin has most of his meetings at our place also. And some of that is just as simple as adding a gig Wi-Fi so that nobody gets dropped, right? Like those are things like that. And then, anytime there's an event, we'd love to like be some sort of sponsor for it. You could actually see the dancing on the park sign stuck to the side of our building now. All those types of things, again, are leading towards more in community involvement. We're actually running a competition right now. I don't want to call it a competition because it's between children, but all children through CAST's program, we're now running a competition with them for murals within and outside of Aldo's. So what it is kids from 2nd to 12th grade presented us with some options, and what it's going to have is some way for us to promote children, right? What they've done and how they feel the community is important. I mean, what CAST does for the community is unbelievable. So anything that we could then do to help, get their name out, is what we're willing to do. Earlier in the year, I don't know if you were in there, we had photographs from last year's summer program all throughout the wall where that customers could buy them, and 100% of the proceeds went to CAST.
Okay.
So stuff like that, right? Always being involved. Ray, our roaster, I don't know if you had the pleasure to meet her. She's unbelievable. Yes. She recently moved up to Greenport, and I think she's trying to get onto the bid now. Again, everything that we could do to be more inviting. A little bit more seating outside, more optionality for people, children, everything. That's one of the reasons we have gelato, right? So that more people can come enjoy.
Yes. And it seems like when I do go in there, it is very busy, and you do have the nice outdoor seating in the back that connects over to Mitchell's Park, which I think is really nice.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, we took down all the hedges so that this way you could actually view the park. Kat, she's a local landscape designer. We had her do the work. And that's like the other thing too, right? Like the flowers in the front were done by Peter Clark, right? In the back it was done by Kat. Whatever we can do to, again, get the community involved, like that's what we're trying to do.
Yes. And obviously with taking over the business, there can be some challenges or some things you might have faced. How did you overcome some of them just with adjusting to a new business and adapting?
So there's a few things when, that's a very loaded question. It's one thing just taking over a business, right? And just most time you take over a business, it doesn't matter who's behind it. It's just the business is going to run itself. Not Aldo's, right? Aldo's is very front facing, but very community driven. There's diehards that, if anything changed at Aldo's, they're very, very keen to let you know. So it's been a balance to let people know that we are maintaining what everybody loves, right? The Orient Espresso, the Earthy and Seductive, those flavors that everybody's used to getting, we're continuing. You see it in the scone and the biscottis. So that's the hard part. But the easier part, and that's by being around in a year, is letting people know that we are going to continue those things. A little bit of a funny story. And I'm going to say it as like PC as I can because I don't want to say any bad words here. But you could tell I'm a pretty outgoing, friendly person. Working behind the cash register, sweet, say elder woman came to the register and said, "Hi, are you the new owner?" And I'm like, "Yes, how you doing? My name is Josh. So glad to meet you." And she just looked at me stone cold and said, "Don't F it up." Right? And that's very similar to what a lot of people say. The first thing is they're nervous that the beloved Aldo's coffee that new people are coming over is going to go away. And for us, it's the exact opposite. We want to show you that we're going to continue this legacy for a very long time and elevate it to a place that instead of just waiting online, grabbing a coffee and go, it's somewhere that you want to come and hang out and raise kids. I mean, there's so many stories where people say they met their wife there. They proposed to people there. Their kids took their first. I mean, people have told me that their son's first word was Aldo. So the first thing that we could do is by screwing up is going too fast. That's number one. We cannot go too fast because you'll then, jeopardize what people love. And then the second part is just, again, paying very close attention to detail and listening to our customers. And this is the one thing I want to say to people. If you taste something off or something's not how you expect it, let us know so we could fix it.
No, I think that's important because it is, like you said, always there's that kind of transition period where you have the long-time customers and new owners, and just trying to bridge that understanding early on and making sure that they still feel comfortable and we're still offering everything that you love about what all those is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between saying something, right? Like I could have from day one said, we're going to keep everything the same, but then it's proving it, right? Like, my wife Laura will tell you, it's one thing to say something, actions are the ones that back it up. And that's exactly what we've been trying to do, right? It's showing people that what we're doing is what they love and then adding to it, not taking away.
Yes. And You mentioned that moment with that customer, but are there any other memorable moments from your time as the new owner of Aldo's that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. I think I'm making new memories every single day. And the number one thing I think is just like something that we do now is, we every time someone's birthday, today's Vanessa's birthday actually, we play the music in the kitchen for them. We have cake. So any one of those, seeing every employee who works there like light up, right, feel good. Those are like those memories that I'll have forever. When you talk about specific like times when something happened, it's almost like it's been a blur, because if you know anything about Aldo's, it's constantly go, 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 go. I do have one that I keep talking about, saying like, mentioning, tell me if something tastes off. So this is a story that just shows like our commitment to that. So we had a customer who would come in every single day and have a hot chocolate. And when we took over the business, we took every item from, that Aldo was buying. We took pictures of it and sent it to our purveyors and saying, we need these cups, we need these paper towels, we need this chocolate. So the chocolate, right, from the hot chocolates, it's a bar about 11 pounds. And on the number, it says there's Calibit, whatever the number is. C811 is the number. We didn't realize that there's different percentages through in that chocolate. Right, so we took pictures of it. We sent it to our purveyors. We said, "Get us the same exact thing." When it was ordered, we didn't realize that it was off. But again, we said we ordered the same thing. So the customer, after a few weeks, said, "Hey, you said you weren't going to change anything." And we said, "All right, well, listen, I don't know how that could be, because we're buying the same stuff, but let me look into that to you." And sure enough, we were off by 0.5%. I mean, you would think that 0.5% doesn't make a difference, but if someone's used to having something the same way, you're going to notice that.
Yeah.
So right away, what we did is we reached out to purveyors, said it has to be this percentage. We threw away the other stuff or returned it. We didn't throw it away because we don't waste food. And now going forward, that's what we do. So we asked again, say, hey, listen, we want to give you, a cup of hot chocolate. Let us know how it tastes. She says, it tastes good, but it's still different. I said, what's different? She said, Aldo doesn't make it anymore. I said, that's unfortunate, but the truth is, we're trying to, keep going on, and that's why we still have Aldo's picture up there, because without him, we'd be no one.
And are you still making the scones that he's known for
Definitely.
making?
Oh yeah, for sure. Scones, biscotti. So one of the things that we did when we took over is kept every single employee. And we've added some more, but the people who are making the biscotti and the scones in the past are still the same people doing it.
Okay. And then was there any specific message that you would like to convey to, obviously you mentioned still talking with loyal customers, as well as even maybe new people that are discovering for the first time, but was there any message that you would like to convey to the loyal customers?
Yeah, number one is thank you, right? Like, we would be nothing without the customers and our employees, right? That's number one. Without those two groups, we're absolutely nothing. So number one, it's thank you. And number two is I really mean this when I say, do not be shy. Let us know when something's off. Let us know if something's different or something that you don't like, because otherwise we don't know, right? I'd rather someone leave there happy than leave there upset and me finding out down the road.
And so could you talk a little about your staff and employees and the work environment and the importance?
For sure. I mean, I always say, as a business owner, my favorite check to write is payroll. Hands down, my most favorite thing is, because they're the backbone of the business. And a lot of people who work in Greenport, they may not have had opportunities in the past that other people around the country get. So for us, it's super important to try to give people all the tools they need to succeed with us, or potentially in the future other places, right? I don't necessarily know if people will be with us for their entire career, but if they can, that's amazing. We've introduced, a little bit, more teachings, programs for people to then learn more stuff. One of our employees, Rosa, we're getting her English lessons once a week. One of our people who didn't know this was possible, when she had a baby, we got a short-term disability. So this way she could spend more time with her child. Vanessa recently became manager. It's something that I think she's striving in. She's doing great. But yesterday, or actually last Monday, we sent her a training course in New Jersey. Constantly everything's a learning thing and growing thing. There's a lot of skills in running a cafe that you may have just thought it was making coffee, but it's a business. So if I could implant some information into people, every day is a growing and a learning opportunity. And I tell them, learn as much as possible, ask questions. This is the type of place where, you could take ownership in something, right? Maybe it's a drink, maybe it's how we're doing something, but I don't know everything. They know more about actually how to make a drink or how to roast coffee. And ultimately I listen to them. And I want everybody to be as successful as possible with me, or maybe not with me, but I'm going to give them the tools.
Absolutely. Do you have any future collaborations or other opportunities in the future?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so we're actually this week launching a new biscotti. It's a collaboration with Lavender by the Bay. So it'll be lavender almond biscotti. That's actually hitting shelves today. We're getting our liquor license. We're going to work with Greenport Harbor Brewery to come up with a coffee stout, potentially matchbook for distillery. And, honestly, like I said before, if anybody has, any, need or want to work with us, come to me. We're happy to do collaborations. I want to promote every other business out here. However we do that, it's through our social media, their social media, through PR, whatever it is, though. We have shelf space. So if I can get other people who are local into our store, I'm going to do it.
I'm curious with some of those flavors, how do you test them out a few times with people and see how, before bringing them to the
For sure. I mean, the good thing with collaborations is that I'm not the end all, right? Like, I need them to taste it also. But if you've ever been in our cafe throughout the day, I'm always offering samples, because I like people's opinions. Like, everybody I know has different taste buds, different feelings. What they like is different. So, again, hang out in our cafe and you'll definitely be able to try stuff. We have Kat, actually the person who did our landscaping in the back. I call her our King's Taster, because she's in there a lot working, and we always give her something else. So anytime we're going to launch something, she's the first line of defense. And then after that, we give it to everybody who's in the doors.
Oh, and then I did have another question. Just as a business owner, what advice would you give someone starting out as an entrepreneur early on in their career? And it could just be more general. It doesn't have to be specifically
for sure
advice for the North Fork, but as a whole.
Yeah. So it's a few things. Education is huge. Doesn't necessarily mean in a classroom, but what I've always said is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Right? I surround myself with people who know more than I do. So that's the number one thing. Like, I don't know how to roast. I know the basics of it. I don't know how to make the drinks, but I know the basics of it. And the same thing for baking. Hire the people around you who know how to do it better. That's the best piece of advice I can give, and learn every single day. And a lot of times with business owners, they feel that their word is say all, and that's it. What they say goes. And that's not the truth, because they're not the ones touching every aspect of the business. So you learn from your employees and you learn from your customers. It's the only way to grow.
Yes. Being open to other people's advice within the business while still being the owner, because obviously you have people that might have more experience in certain areas. Definitely. And that's how you build a good work environment and a good product. If
I've never roasted before, how am I going to tell Ray she should be doing it differently? Right? Like, it doesn't make sense like that. But if you've ever had a conversation with her, she's so knowledgeable. And she's very young, but she is, like, mature beyond her years. But she is so informational. Like, same thing with Vanessa and everybody else there. Like, talk to our people. You'll learn.
Definitely. And more just as a whole for the North Fork, and as a business owner, what do you like about having a business on the North Fork?
I mean, have you ever looked out the window? It's gorgeous. I mean, you think about it, right? Like, where I live, I could go to the city or I can go here. I mean, it's serene. The drive is beautiful. But more so than anything else, there's such a community. If you go to any single one of these businesses, the owner will tell you, like, 4 or 5 different places in the North Fork that you have to visit. And it's not necessarily a business thing, right? Like, it's solely like other people are offering something so amazing. And it could just be the air out here makes everybody happier. But the truth is, like, people need to come out here and explore all of it.
Yes. And then I had another question with all those, in terms of offering for cup sizes, is it just one size right now?
Yeah, so there's a smaller cup for smaller drinks. But for the most part, it's one size, and then we have 2 different size hot chocolates, one for children.
Okay. Is there like a possibility?
Do you want more or less?
A larger?
Yeah, for sure.
Like Well, because I used to actually work at Starbucks, and they would have the
Venti
Venti
Grande.
Grande.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
But sometimes,
there's always opportunities for us to try different things.
yeah.
One of it is like, as we get busier, to then throw something in to change what people are doing. Like I said, the lines have been very long.
Mm-hmm.
So every drink that we have is an espresso based drink, except for our cold brew, lemonade, bottle drinks. So the time it would take to make a double the size drink, it doesn't seem like a lot, but you're going to have to do 2 pulls. So again, we are working on other opportunities that this way we can serve larger drinks, smaller drinks. My opinion is the customer is pretty much always right.
Yes. And even inventory, you use more milk or non-dairy.
Yeah, so
milk.
it's obviously you use more whole milk, but inventory wise, it's everything goes so quickly.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many times we think we've gotten enough stuff, and we still run out no matter what. That being said, we're now pre-ordering weeks in advance because you can kind of after a year cycle. But this is our first true summer. We took over in August, which is the tail end. So
you're getting a full.
This is our full summer experience.
Summer. Yeah.
That's why we did order ahead.
Yes. And as a whole, has business been really good, or have you seen, as it continued to improve in terms of sales? And obviously now you're getting into the real busy months, but just over this past year.
Yes, the answer is yes. We've seen growth for sure. And then obviously if you've ever been to Greenport in the winter, it's a different time. Right? So businesses, you have some that have to close for the season. Everybody needs coffee all year round, so we stay open. But you'll definitely see the numbers on the cafe dip down in the winter and pick back up in the summer. But we're lucky enough where we're able to sell online, so we balance that out. So you'll actually see the online sales pick up in the winter and the cafe, teetering in the summer. So it goes back and forth.
Okay. And as a business owner, do you have any other plans or opportunities for other business ventures on the North Fork?
So I'm obsessed with the North Fork, like hands down. I would love to do more in the North Fork, potentially other businesses. But the truth is, Aldo's is so special and it takes a lot of focus. So my main focus now is on Aldo's, maintaining and growing, but again, making sure everybody leaves with a smile.
And what do you hope for the future of the North Fork and its community down the road? Just what you hope to see?
No, I mean, listen, the one thing is housing is a tough thing for employers to have employees in the North Fork. It's tough, right? The next major city where people are living is Riverhead, and that's almost a 45-minute drive. So I'd love to see more, not necessarily workforce housing, but more affordable housing for people to be able to live out here. That's number one. I think it's very important. But other than that, people just got to get out here. It's so gorgeous.
Yes.
It's just like such a nice way of life. Like there's 2 things that, no matter what, that having a bad day, it'll brighten me up. It's my children, number 1. And number 2, it's just stepping out of my car in Greenport. It's so awesome.
Definitely. And lastly, I'd just like to ask if there's anything else you'd like to discuss or say that we haven't talked about.
I don't think there's much out there. I mean, again, like, the one big thing for us is collaborations with locals. So, if I haven't reached out to somebody who's a local purveyor or they haven't reached out to me, like, let's do it. Let's do business together because it's the only way for all of us to share everybody's name.
So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come in today and share your story with Aldo's, and thank you for keeping the business going on the North Fork.
Yeah, thank you. And again, thank you for having us. And thank you to the population for welcoming us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoyed episode 69 with Josh Sommer. I want to thank you for listening to the Floyd Memorial Library podcast. And we'll see you next time.